So a good few months ago now, I did a video on this machine, and it was a repair vid. It was part of a purchase of about, I think there's about 3 or 4 of these that I bought off the same seller, which were computers that were sold to me as faulty, and they'd had a go at fixing it. They'd had no joy. They'd sat for God knows how long until I came along and paid too much for them and bought them. And this was a subject of a video a while ago, and we did get it working, and it's been working ever since. But just for a refresher, they all came with these stickers on the bottom. So presumably picked it up at a car boot sale in 1990, and in 1995 he'd made notes to explain what the faults were. This one came back to life quite nicely, but like I said, I bought a few of them, so I thought we'd have another look at one today. So this is a different one. Cosmetically it looks pretty decent. I'm assuming it doesn't work. I haven't even tried it. I don't know. Faceplate's a bit loose, but so what? But we have a whole raft of stickers on the bottom on this one. Most notably 16K, this one, so that might make things easier if there's less chips to worry about. I don't know. Is that focusing? Probably not. So, car boot sale, 1st of the 4th, 1990. Issue 3 with... Oh, I can't even read that. My eyesight's terrible. Issue 3 with the IL sockets. And what have we got on there? Out of order random screen. UV postcode on base, 28th of Feb 1995, and I can actually see the outline of the address that's been written on the bottom of this. So yeah, okay, let's open it up. Let's see what we can see, and then I suppose we'll test it. It's all its feet as well. Oh, it's been a while since I've tinkered with a Spectrum. I do enjoy it. What have we got? The membrane has been disconnected. That's fine. It'll be dead anyway. And it is indeed an issue 3. 16K, so Sinclair in their wisdom with the lower spec machines, they did include the DIL sockets. Should you want to upgrade, just to make it a lot easier. If I can get this working, I might even have the chips to populate in there, if I can be bothered, I don't know. But other than that, it doesn't look like it's been particularly molested. It's going to need... Yeah, it's not a composite conversion, so we'll do that, I suppose. Let's take the board out. Let's have a little look underneath. See if we can see if there's been any work. I mean, I'm assuming the person who had this before me attempted to fix it. I don't know. They might have plugged it in, found out it doesn't work, and just given up, and it's sat in a box since 1995. I mean, who knows? That was stuck in there. Right. I can't see any evidence of anything there. So, okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll do a quick composite mod. We'll plug it into a TV. We'll put some power to it. And we'll see if it explodes, I suppose. And done. So, 100 microfarad capacitor. Taking it from the composite signal straight to the output. And I've just quickly mounted it back in the case as well. So let's put power to it and see what it does. If indeed it does anything, which it probably... Oh, hang on. I've just seen a little repair there. It looks like the voltage regulator's been out. And the track's been damaged there actually, so it looks like they've tried to repair it with a bit of solder. That could be an issue. Let me just have a quick look at that under some magnification because my eyesight is shocking. And if it looks okay, I'll put some power to it. Well, it's a bit of a dog's dinner what's happened to that regulator. It looks like somebody who's tried to pull it out with a blowtorch. They've made a right mess of the board. But I can't see anything that would actually stop it from working as such. So maybe there was an issue and somebody's tried to replace the regulator with no joy. I don't know. Somebody's been tinkering. We'll test it quickly, but that can be our first suspect if we don't get any power. Anyway, let's plug it in. All right. See what happens. And that looks horrendous. I think I'm going to unplug that straight away, actually. Okay, fine. I've never seen a pattern that looks like that before. I suppose what I'll do first is I'll check some voltages. Think that'd be a good place to start. Alright, plug it in again and see what we've got voltage wise. Could be interesting. So, where are my glasses? So on the input, 9.46. On the output, we should have a steady 5 volts, and we have. So the regulator's working. What have we got at the chips? Let's have a gander. So we should have 5 volts minus 5 volts and 12 volts. So that should be 1. So that's dead. Seven volts on the 12 volt line. Oh no, I've got 5 volts on the 5 volt line. What about minus 5 volts? Looks dead as well. Okay, right, we've got voltage issues. Let me unplug it. We're learning things. Okay, so going to my RAM chips, I've got a steady 5 volts. So that's okay. But I don't have the minus 5 volt line, and the 12 volt line has been pulled down to 7 volts. So it could be a couple of things. It could be an issue with the power circuitry. So it could be TR4, TR5 faults there. Or it could be a problem with one or more of the lower RAM chips that maybe have gone a bit short circuit. And a couple of them were getting quite hot. And that could be pulling the voltage down as well. So I think what we'll do first, because it's easier, is we'll pull TR4, TR5 out and we'll test those off the board. And if they check out, then I think we'll start pulling RAM chips and we'll run them through the tester as well. Alright, let's start with you. That's been out before as well. Bent to hell, that. Okay. This might be a little bit more awkward. It's been kind of soldered flat to the board on the other side. Making it a bit more difficult to get it out. But it'll come. There it goes. That's 2 legs free. There we go. It's out. Let's give it a test. Alright. And it's fine. So that can go back in. Let's pull TR4. Aha! Yes, TR4 is dead. Just reading as a resistor. That's not right. Okay, well, let me dig through the stash. I think I've got a replacement. TZX650 it is. I think a 651 will replace it. I think that's the model. Let me check. I'm sure I've got one. Okay, brand spanking new TR4 transistor. It's a TZX650 originally fitted, which you can't get anymore, but a TZX651 is a drop-in replacement, and that should work just fine. These, God, I ordered these not long after COVID actually, and there was a bit of a chip shortage at the time, and they were on back order for ages, and I only got them a few months ago. It took like a couple of years just to track these down, so I added up because I knew I'd need a few. I ordered like a shed load of them as well, so I've got plenty of them now. But yeah, it took a while, but I knew I'd need them. Right, where are we going? We are going in that way. So let me just wedge this in here. Like that. And we'll tack that in with the electric glue gun. Okay, I'll just cut the leads on that. We'll put power to it again, I suppose, and we'll see if that's made any difference. Right, hooked up again, new transistor in place. Let's see if that made any difference whatsoever. And let's see if my camera will focus. If I put my hand there, maybe. Good enough. Right, let's plug it in. Oh, that was a pop. I heard a pop. Let's unplug it. That's not good. Well, this is just fantastic, isn't it? I've just pulled out that brand new transistor I've just fitted, the brand new one, and I'm getting this. Yeah, it's blown the new one. So that's what the pop probably was. I was kind of hoping maybe it was just the power up from the speaker, but no. That was the transistor exploding. It's killed the new one, so that's saying to me that it's pulling a lot more current than it should be, which is screaming to me of a short on one of the lower RAM chips. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to start pulling the lower RAM chips. I'll pull them all out. We can test them individually, and then before we put any new ones in, we can make sure we've got the right voltages where we should have, and that we're not going to blow any more transistors. Yeah, it could also be a faulty capacitor as well. That might be causing problems, so I think we'll change those as well. But yeah, I do love it being on a waiting list for components and waiting a long time for them just to blow them up instantly. It's fantastic. I do worry that there are too many transistors in the world, and I do need to get shut of a few. Anyway, yeah. Let's pull the lower RAM chips. I'm going to desolder all of those. I'll bring you back when that's done, and we'll test those, I suppose. What feels like about 4.6 billion years later, although I might be exaggerating slightly. All the chips are out, all the RAM chips, so I thought we'll give them a test, and we'll just see how many are still alive. I'm going to say none. But we'll see. 8 of the little buggers. Dead. That's 0 for 1. Dead. Yeah. Oh, come on, give me 1. Oh, maybe. Having a good think about this one. It's just going to tease me, isn't it? It's just going to flash up dead at the end and really annoy me. Oh, hey, we got one that works. Okay, that's good. I'll put that in the good pile. Pile of 1. That's something. That one's having a think as well. I may speed this video up. Alright, so yeah. 3 are good. 5 are dead. What can you do? So, now that I've pulled the RAM chips, I'm going to assume they were, at least one of those chips anyway, had a short circuit on it that was blowing TR4. So I could try, now that that board's unpopulated there, replacing TR4 and see if the voltages come back. I think that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully it won't blow another one, because, you know, things cost money, don't they? Right, yeah, I'll do that, I think. I'll put a new transistor in and we'll put the power to it again and we'll see what happens. Alright, power's back on and I can actually hear the coil buzzing away now, so that's probably a good sign, as long as it is the coil. So let's see, what have we got? We've got a -5, but it's looking still a little low. Maybe that's okay, I don't know. What was that one? 12 volts has appeared. We have 12 volts. We didn't have that before. And hopefully... yeah, I mean, our 5 volt was okay anyway. It's just that -5, is that 4.8? It's probably okay. I think we're getting the correct voltages now. So, progress. So we're definitely getting there. So it will have been a faulty RAM chip that was pulling the, probably causing a short circuit, which kept blowing the transistor. So now that I'm on my second transistor, I'm getting the correct voltages with the chips removed. So, tested them all. 3 of them were good, so I need to find another 5. I'll have a look in the stash and see what I've got, and I'll fit some sockets while I'm at it as well. But I think before I do that, I'll go through and I'll change all the electrolytic caps as well, because they're probably not very healthy now. They never are in Spectrums at this age. Just in case that is part of what caused the initial failure with the chips in the first place, it's quite possible. So let's buzz those out, get some fresh ones in, then I'll dig out some new chips and put it all together, and then maybe it will work. Who knows? That's all the new caps in, looking a bit nicer in there now. So I thought, before we go for the RAM chips, we'd take a little look at the old caps and just see how bad they are, if they're bad at all, which they probably are. In my experience, the capacitors that come with Spectrums tend to be complete garbage. But I thought we'd test a few of them and just see what we get. This one, let me just hook it up, should be 100 microfarads, but what do we get? Get the probe on there. This whole self-test thing first. 162. So that's kind of miles out. Yeah. Not good. Okay, next, this one should be 1 microfarad. And we'll see. It's slightly different to the others. I'm wondering if this one's already been replaced once. Maybe. Okay. No. God. That's terrible as well. That is not 1 microfarad, is it? Okay. So, those are the 2 we've checked so far. They're both awful. What's this one? This should be... oh, it's another 1 microfarad. Okay, let's give that a go. It's a slightly different type. .4. Yeah. Not great. What have we got? There should be a few 22s in here. They're always a... yeah, there's a 22. Let's put that in. See what we get. Come on. That's horrendous. That should be 22 microfarads. Good lord. I mean, they're normally bad on Spectrums. I don't think I've ever seen them quite this bad. I don't know. Maybe the machine's faulty, I don't know. This is another 22. I'll test it with a new one as well. And I'm only using cheap capacitors, but Christ, they've got to be better than this. This is another 22. Let's see what we get. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I'll bother testing anymore. They're clearly all absolutely knackered. Let me just make sure it's not my machine, because they seem ridiculously far out. Let me just grab a 22 brand new one. Make sure my machine's not faulty, because they seem well out of whack. I mean, I've seen them bad, I've just never seen them that bad before. Okay, this is a 22 microfarad. It is a brand new one. It is a budget brand. Because aren't we all on a budget these days? Let's see what we get. $23. Yeah, you know what? There you go. Well in spec. Absolutely fine. Okay, those capacitors were absolutely appalling and probably contributed to the failure. So I think the next job now is to get some chip sockets in. I don't want to just solder the chips directly in. If I ever need to change them in the future, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm going to... In fact, my first job isn't putting the chip sockets in. My first job is finding out where the hell I've put my chip sockets, because I can't seem to find them. Once I've done that, I'll buzz them all in. I'll put the 3 good chips back in that we've tested, and then I'll go through the stash and I'll see if I can find some more. I should have some. Well, I know I've got some. Just got to find them. Right then, sockets are in. Chips are in. The first 3 are the good chips that I found that came out of this system when I tested it. So they've gone straight back in. The rest are scavenged, recycled ones. They should be good. I've tested them, they're coming back okay. I do have plenty of brand new lower RAM chips, but I'm really trying to use up the recycled ones first. So if this works, it means it's not cost me anything in parts other than 2 transistors. So let's throw power to it again and see if this time we can actually get a picture on it. Right, what do you reckon? I'm going to give it a 60% chance of working. I think I've got the voltages right. I think all the lower RAM chips are correct, but there could be other faults. I don't know if damage has been done to the ULA or the ROM or the CPU or anything. So let's say 60%. Let's plug it in, see what happens. Well, yeah. I mean, it's better. At least I've got a white border this time and it's doing something. So I think the CPU's running, but we're still not right, are we? Alright, fine. I think it's time for the diagnostic cartridge. Right, power on. Ugh. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Get on with it. Okay, RAM fail 0 and 5. Okay, I did test those. Maybe they're not as good as I thought. Okie dokie, I suppose I'm dipping into me stash of new RAM chips then. 0 and 5 replaced with brand spanking new ones. Alright, and again. Still looks a bit fuzzy to me, that. Go on, it's having a think. Still 0 and 5. Well, it's obviously not the chip then, isn't it? I wonder if there's a bad trace, because it can't be the chips. Huh. Okay. All right. Keep digging. It's got to be the. It's got to be a trace. It's the next morning, and I've had some success with this. So we are now boot into the copyright message. But let me explain how we got here, because it's a little bit of a journey. So yesterday I was plugging in my diagnostic card and I was getting the error message of RAM failure 0 and 5. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. That's how it works. Unless I think if you've got an issue 1 it's the other way, but that's not what this is. So I replaced those chips and I was getting the same error message. I ended up swapping all the chips out for all the brand new ones, and I was still getting the same error message. So I thought it's got to be a bit of a bad trace. So I started testing the traces, making sure they were okay, until I got to the end and I started getting errors. Looking under the board, and this is going to make me look so bad. But you know what? If you can't hold your hand up and say, I cocked up when you've cocked up, it doesn't really say a lot about you, does it? So I cocked up. I completely failed to solder the last row of pins in the last chip holder. Just completely. I don't know how I've missed it. Maybe my phone went or something distracted me and I've just not done it. I don't know, but I really messed up there. So I thought, okay, that was done with me. I'll solder those up and it should all work. So I did. Soldered everything, checked everything was correct. RAM error 0. Oh, for God's sake. Right, okay. Oh, at this point, by the way, I'd put the I'd taken out the brand new chips and I put the originals back in, assuming that was the problem. And it didn't matter again what chip I replaced. I was getting this RAM error 0 message. Until I noticed one of the chips was getting hot, and I mean like burn the end of your finger hot. If you put your finger on it after just a few seconds of the computer being on. Excuse me. And that was one of the chips that tested correctly. So I removed that, put in another one, and lo and behold, the computer sprang to life. It was reading on the diagnostic card that the RAM test was correct, all the interrupts were correct, and then it booted into the logo screen, but the picture was terrible. So we still had a fault at this point, and I'm thinking, okay, well maybe the video chip's taking a bit of damage along with the rest of the machine. So I thought, well, I've got a spare one of those, I can pull that, swap that out. But before I do that, because it's socketed and it's really quick to do, I'll just swap out the ULA and see if that makes any difference. And lo and behold, changing that cleared the picture up perfectly. So it also had a faulty ULA, because the picture was, it was like, if you had an issue too, you'd be thinking, well, I need to adjust the trim pots, which of course this doesn't have. It was that sort of mess on the screen, and then the picture started cutting in and out as well. But yeah, swapped out the ULA and it's fine. So that was another faulty chip. But since I've done that, everything seems fine now, and we've got a nice clear steady picture on the TV. I haven't tested it any further, so I don't know if anything else works. I think the next job is going to be keyboard membrane. We'll see if we can actually get it to do something. Actually, do you know what? No, I won't. What I'll do next is I'll take out this voltage regulator and I'll swap it for a little switch mode regulator that's going to be a lot more energy efficient. Plus I can clean up the damage that was done to the board over here and get rid of this heatsink. The whole computer should run a bit cooler. Then I might test it with div MMC, make sure it loads games correctly as it should. Then maybe I'll move to the membrane. So I think that's going to be my next job. Okay, just for giggles, I've put the div MMC in, so hopefully this will boot to the startup screen. We shall see. Hold on. Nope, it doesn't. Okay, I'll try resetting it. No, that's not working. Wonderful. That, oh god, that's going to be the M1 line on the CPU, which means I need to change out the CPU now. And this is starting to feel a bit like Trigger's Broom at this point. So if I swap out the CPU, can I still call this the original machine still? I'm not sure. What of a Frankenstein at this point. Okay, right, so new plan. Swap out the regulator, swap out the CPU. Then we'll do the membrane. Okay, so I've replaced the CPU for a new one, and let me show you what it's doing now when I've got my div MMC plugged in and I've put power to it. It's starting up and it's going through the startup menu like you'd expect, and then it boots to the copyright screen. But then, and this is the bit that I just don't understand, when I try to go back into the menu again by pressing the button, all I'm getting is a reset. So it still isn't working properly. Now, I know this is a good CPU. I've tried it in other machines and div MMC works just fine. So I don't know why this still isn't working. All I can think of is that this computer hates me. That's probably the least sensible explanation for it, but it's all I can come up with. I don't know. I've tested a couple of logic chips on the board, so where are we? Let me zoom it. Right. So, a couple of logic chips, I've taken them out and tested them and they're fine. Could it be the ROM? I don't know. I've never seen this error before. This is a new one on me. Maybe the ROM's damaged. I have got a spare ROM so I can test that, I suppose. So it's the joy of pulling another chip out, but yeah, so be it, I suppose. Okay, I'm gonna just switch the camera off. I'm gonna play about with this for a bit until I get an answer. I don't know how long that's going to be, but we will figure this because it's starting to bug me now. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I've got more information. Right, I've had some success. Thank God for that. Oh, what an absolute faff. But yeah, I've been able to get the div MMC to work and load games. I can reset it. And I can load up the menu. Yeah, it all seems to work fine. And I only had to tear out most of my hair trying to get it to work. In fact, let me take you through it. Right, so the thing that fixed it in the end was I did a 48k upgrade to the system. So very, very simple. I already had all the chips, so that wasn't a problem. So it's a case of I had to solder in a jumper onto the board there, populate the logic, and then populate the additional RAM chips as well. Like I said, I had them, so it hasn't cost me anything. And suddenly, this works. So I was under the impression that this would work with a 16k system, but apparently mine doesn't, and maybe I've got a setting wrong on it or something. I don't know. But that was the issue. Having gone all around the houses trying everything else, testing for bad traces and all sorts, I've had murder with it. I really have. But yes, I think finally we have a fully working computer, although I've not tested it with the keyboard yet, so that could be the next thing. I don't know. Oh, so what have I done to it? Let's start at the top. So the first thing we did was the composite mod conversion, and that's when we got our picture and started finding our issues. Voltage regulator I've swapped out for a switch mode one to keep the power consumption down and keep the temperature in the case down. All the electrolytics have been replaced because they were absolutely shot. CPU's been replaced because it had a dead M1 line. The ROM's been replaced, although, to be fair, I did that for testing purposes. The original ROM could go back in it. There was nothing actually wrong with that. All the lower RAM's been replaced. Yeah, I'm trying to think what's actually original on this machine. There's two logic chips there that came with the machine, and the video chip, and I've replaced every other chip. Because oh yeah, of course, because I had to change the ULA as well, didn't I? Because that was given a faulty picture. I'm kind of wondering if this was even worth it at this point. Maybe this computer could have gone the other way, and it could have become a parts machine. But I don't know. I'm kind of glad I got it working. Anyway, my battery's flashing low, so I think that's about to die. So I'm going to put my camera on charge, and then I'll start cleaning the case up, and then we'll fit a keyboard membrane, I suppose, and then we should be done. Right, one top case with presumably one dead membrane. So let's try and get this into this. And I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to warm it up slightly. So got this set to its lowest setting, hot air, which is 100 degrees, which is probably about 40 degrees higher than it needs to be, but I don't want to cook it. I just want to soften up the adhesive so I can peel the top plate off without making a mess. There we go. A little bit of heat and encouragement and it's popped off. So get this mat out, which is disgusting. And the old membrane, which is knackered. And I think I'm just going to go and spend a little bit of time just cleaning this up. I need to clean all the glue off this. Wash this mat because it's revolting. Clean all the glue off the backing plate, face plate I should say. And then the new membrane can come in. I won't put it straight in. Let's get it right. Right, then you, my little friend, can go in there. And then you, my other little friend, can go on there. Make sure that locates properly. I think that's on correctly. Yep. Okay, I have got a load of sticky stuff on the back of this now, so hopefully that'll work. Taking some of the dents out of it as well while I had it off. Yeah, not bad. That'll do nicely. Right, I'll button that up and we're done. Right, on the bottom, we're missing the feet. That's okay, I have an entire roll of foot, so not a problem. So, doesn't have to be exact, does it? Let's get it kind of. Get the backing off the stuff, yeah. There's one. I mean, I could have used a sharp knife and got these exactly perfect straight edges, but I'm really not that worried. There we go. Feet. Right. I suppose we power it up and make sure the keyboard works. I haven't actually tested that yet. And we're all back together and keyboard seems to be working. So let me just focus. Go. You can do it. There you go. Right. I have a quick tap through all the keys and they seem to be working, so yeah, it seems to be a fully functioning computer now. A far cry from what we started with. That was the chair, not me, although I am getting to the age where I do start making creaking noises like that. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop yapping. Let's load a game. Let's see what we've got. What's a good demo? How about Robin Hood? It's a 48k game because this is now a 48k machine because we've upgraded it. Because for some reason it's the only way I can get the Div MMC to work. Which is odd. Speakers working. Music, hell no. Sounds, we'll have sounds. Joystick, yes, let's do it. Let's have a Kempston. Okay. Seems to be working okay. I hate playing this game on a joystick. One of those games that you really need to use the keyboard for, but I'm working around the camera, so this is what I'm doing. But everything seems to be working now. Oh, one more. There we go. It's one of those computers that... Right, I'll ask your opinion on this. Because some people think that all these computers need to be saving, if possible, and everything should be done to preserve them. I don't quite have that opinion myself. While I love these machines, I do think at some point they get to a point where maybe the repair is just so ridiculous that it's kind of not worth it, and maybe they should be a parts machine. And I'm kind of wondering, had I known what was involved in the repair of this machine before I started, maybe I'd have gone down that road. I'm not sure. But what do you think? I don't know. I'm kind of glad I fixed it. I'm glad I stuck with it. I mean, the thing is, once I'd started on it and gone to a certain point, then I was always going to finish it, because it would have bugged the hell out of me had I not got it working. But I can't hand on heart say I'd have started it had I known it was going to be so bad, because at this point I've changed that many parts. It's basically triggers Broom, isn't it? If you're unsure about that reference, presumably if you're not from the UK, just Google that one. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But it's almost a different machine. I've changed that many parts. But I suppose the other way of looking at it is I've given life to a machine that normally people wouldn't bother with. So yeah. Anyway, I can't really narrate and play at the same time. I don't seem to be able to do it. So I'm going to call this one here. That was a long couple of days, but it's done and it's fixed and it's working. It's fully functional. It's been upgraded as well. I've left all the stickers on the bottom of it, just because it's kind of part of the history of the machine. It's just an interesting bit of history, I suppose. But anyway, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching as always. Hopefully I'll see you on another one, whenever that may be. Bye.